Hello! Over the last few months I've seen a lot of booktubers make videos listing books they think would make fantastic adaptations, and although I don't watch a lot of TV or film, I do think that this list of books would make amazing adaptations, and if they were adapted I would 100% watch them. So I thought that I would share them with you. And I do have some that I think would make good films and some that I think would make good TV or some other kind of adaptation. So let's get into it. The first one we have is Romanov by Nadine Brands, which is a fantastical fictionalisation of what happened to the last of the Romanov family after Nicholas Romanov abdicated the throne. The first sort of half of the book is a fairly close account of what happened to the family, with fictionalisation of conversations and things that we could never know whether they had those conversations or not. And then the second half is where the fantastical elements come into it, but I think that this would make an absolutely fantastic period drama because it's quite gritty and dark and there's a lot of depth to unpack in this, and it's also incredibly sad and looks at something that really did happen in human history and was a period of time where, as is unfortunately quite typical, one set of humans treated another set of humans really, really badly. But I do think that it would make an absolutely fantastic period drama that would be both educational and enjoyable, just like the book. Something a bit more light-hearted that I think would make an amazing film is Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch, which follows a character named Lena, whose mother sadly passes away in the prologue of the book, but she then travels to Italy to meet the father that she has never met, and she enjoys exploring, where is it? She goes Tuscany. She spends time enjoying exploring Tuscany and making new friends and getting to know this part of her family that she's never met before, and I think that it would just make a really lovely and uplifting rom-com, probably. Yeah, probably a rom-com. The Queen of the Tearling series by Erica Johansson would make a fantastic TV series, in my opinion. So in the first book we follow Kelsey Glynn, who is the heir to the throne of the land of Tearling, but she has been raised by foster parents in secret, in hiding, because her life is at risk, and when she turns 18 she has to go forth into the world and put her life on the line to take back her throne. And there's all sorts of political manoeuvrings in here. We spend a lot of time with Kelsey, who is a very self-assured character at the beginning of this series anyway, but she's also still learning. She's only 18, so she is learning to be queen and she's learning how to take control of situations and to trust her own inner voice, and she's a very empowering character, and she goes through an awful lot throughout this trilogy, and I think that it would make a really fantastic TV series that could almost be period drama in sort of style of scene setting, but the genre of the TV show could potentially change over time, and I won't say why because of spoilers, but I think this would make a fantastic TV series. I think that this one is actually in the works, or the rights have been bought to turn it into a film. I do think that it could work as a film as well. I just think that a TV series would be better because we'd spend longer with Kelsey, and I think that that would do this particular very much character driven story much more justice if we spent a lot longer with the characters and got to know them a bit better, because there's a huge cast of characters in here and they're all really interesting and written in quite a lot of depth, I think. So I think that the amount of time that a TV show would allow to spend with those characters would really lend itself to this story. A word on the current adaptation that's in the works. I don't know if it's actually going to happen because it's been in the works for a long time and I don't think they've started filming it yet, but Emma Watson has been cast as Queen Kelsey in the film, if it ever happens, and she's also the producer, and I don't think that's a very good fit for Kelsey because Kelsey is a plus size character, first of all, and she's not ashamed of that fact. She's a really positive example of representation for people who are plus size, and also she herself describes her appearance as plain. She is not pretty. She could cut off her hair and look like a boy, and again, whilst she sometimes wishes that she were pretty, she doesn't necessarily get on herself about not finding herself attractive, and those are both really crucial parts of Kelsey's not only appearance but her character. And Emma Watson, while being a really great actress, is gorgeous and very slim, and therefore not a very good representation of the Kelsey that we get on the page, and I think that it would be a disservice to the character to be portrayed by someone who is so incredibly physically different from her, because the representation in here is so great and gives people who identify as plus size or plain a character to relate to. So I think it would be a shame to sort of, you know, not respect that in the casting, if you know what I mean. But I do think it would make an excellent TV show. Another book that I think would make a really good TV show is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, which is science fiction story that follows the crew members aboard a spaceship called the Wayfarer, which is a tunnelling vessel in space. But although the backdrop of the story is space and space politics, the main drive of the series is again very much character based. It's based on each of the characters and their relationships with each other, and in fact the chapters in this are very episodic in and of themselves, so I think that that even just by itself would lend itself really, really well to a TV series. But the same as with The Queen of the Tearling, I think a TV series would work really well here because you'd get to spend that time getting to know the characters and getting to build the relationships between all of the characters, and I think that would work really, really well. Then this is the book and series that inspired this video for me, or made me want to make my own version of this video. TheIllumina Files by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, which I think would make fabulous blockbuster films. I think that these would need to be films because they would need the budget of a film to really do them justice, because if you could really invest in the special effects and the graphics and all that kind of thing, then these would be amazing, amazing films. The first book follows Katie and Ezra as they flee from their planet that has been attacked by terrorists, and they're on board various spaceships and they're being chased by the terrorists, and things on board the ships start to go wrong, and there's so much material to explore here that it's a trilogy, so it could make a trilogy of films. I think that the grand scale of a blockbuster would just bring these stories even more to life than they already are. These are really, really good books, and they're already written in sort of a multimedia format, but I truly think that this should be a film trilogy. It would be incredible. If it was done well and with a good budget and with good casting, this would be killer. Taking it back to television, I think another good adaptation to television would be the Arc of the Scythe series by Neil Shusterman, which At its heart is a dystopian story about a future of the human race where all forms of death have been eradicated, and so the Scythedom has been formed in order to deal with population control. And in the first book we follow Citra and Rowan as they become apprentice scythes. So they are learning how to be scythes, scythes being the only people that can now permanently kill anyone. And so I think that that very nature of the story would make this into a good TV series, because we could gradually follow the characters as they learn to do this job, and also allow us to dive in to the heavy political themes that go on in here, especially sort of later on in the series. I think you would possibly need to bring a little bit of that a little bit earlier on in the TV series to keep it interesting. But this series is so thought-provoking. I think it would really make a great TV series. And I don't watch a lot of TV anyway, but I don't know of any dystopians that have been adapted into TV series. There's of course the Hunger Games trilogy, which is a film franchise. There's the Divergent trilogy, which is a film franchise. We don't talk about that. But I don't think I've seen any dystopian books adapted into TV. If there are any, let me know, but I don't think there are. And I think that this would make a really, really, really great one, and somebody needs to make it. Something a bit different now. I don't know if you've ever seen, sometimes they put them on before the beginning of Pixar films, and sometimes they just use them in trailers, or they just go up on the internet, but sometimes DreamWorks or Pixar or whoever will make a short film. I think they just call them shorts. And I think that The Starlight Watchmaker by Lauren James would make a really, really great short. This is a story about a robot who makes some friends for the first time while they're investigating something. And none of the characters in this story are human. So I think it would lend itself perfectly towards an animated short, because it's a short book anyway, and although there's that mystery plotline to carry the story, the main purpose of the book and the sort of moral of the story, I suppose, is that you can find friends anywhere and in anyone from any walk of life. It doesn't matter how different you are. If you care about each other, you can be friends with each other. And I think that that's really, really beautiful and perfect for a short. That's exactly the kind of thing that shorts try to do. So I think this would make a really, really lovely one. And then finally we have the Skyward series by Brandon Sanderson, which I think would make a really great mini series. So think like Sherlock on the BBC, so just 3 sort of almost film length episodes, but with some continuation. I think that would work really well in this. This follows Spencer, whose father was a pilot in the air force that fights against the Krell, which is an alien species that is attacking the planet on which humans now live. But unfortunately, in a grand battle, Spencer's father is branded a coward, and so her chances of ever becoming a pilot are very slim indeed, and we follow her trying to deal with that adversity. And she's quite young at the beginning of this, and this does read quite young, but she grows up a lot, I think, in quite a short space of time. And although she's a very annoying character at times, I think she also has her very endearing moments, and just like Sherlock, we love her despite her being a little bit irritating and very, very flawed. But I do think that this would make a really wonderful mini-series. And that's it. Those are 8 books or series that I think would make really, really great adaptations, whether it be to film or TV or shorts or whatever. If you have any books or series you think would make really great adaptations, let me know them down in the comments. I'd be really interested to hear your suggestions. I know this probably isn't going to happen, but you know, I'd be super chuffed if any of these got picked up for an adaptation of any kind, actually, because I think that they would really work so well on the screen in some form or another. But that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks. Bye!